Yeah, welcome to the show. It is Wrestling Uncensored. Tonight on the show, AEW and New Japan form a partnership. We know where Bianca Belair is heading, Wrestlemania, and we know her opponent as well. Wrestling Uncensored starts right now. Yes, indeed. Welcome to the show. What's up, Big Johnny? How you feeling, man?
Not much. I'm all right. I'm just wondering. You're saying Bianca Belair, like her opponent. Like she didn't exactly say who she's wrestling. I mean, you have an idea, but it's not 100% confirmed yet.
I mean, it's Sasha Banks. Let's give it away right off the top. It's Sasha Banks. Bianca Belair, Sasha Banks. That's a WrestleMania main event. And I think it could close the show. I mean, they're doing 2 nights of WrestleMania. It could close night 1, close night 2, whatever. I think that's a big match. I think that's where we're headed. Bianca Belair did a promo tonight, talked about winning the Royal Rumble, and it seemed like she wanted to face Sasha Banks. Of course, Reginald the Sommelier showed up to tell her that, oh, you can't beat Sasha Banks. You couldn't even beat Carmella. And I'm like, dude, aren't you Carmella's friend? Aren't you Carmella's sommelier? Aren't you her manager, representative, whatever the hell you are? Why are you saying, like, you can't beat Sasha? You couldn't even beat crappy old Carmella. And it's like, dude, shouldn't Carmella be on a pedestal here? Very strange promo from Reginald the Sommelier interrupting Bianca tonight on SmackDown. Carmella showed up. She wanted to wrestle Bianca for some reason. Sasha showed up. She's like, Bianca, you're pretty strong and all, EST, da-da-da, but you're not the B-E-S-T, the best. That's me, the boss, Sasha Banks. And then Reginald's like, Bianca, if you choose Sasha, you will lose. And I'm like, why are you so invested in this match, Reginald? Aren't you Carmella's dude? Why do you care about what's happening between Bianca and Sasha? Very strange. And then Bianca just whips old Reggie the sommelier with her hair, whipping him on his behind all the way out of the ring. And Carmella just kind of watched. She was just there. And John, you say, oh, not sure, Carmella, whatever, Sasha, Bianca. It's definitely Sasha Bianca. Did you see Sasha Banks stood there with the belt and held it above her head, and Bianca stood there in front of her looking at her and the belt? That means wrestling match, John. Have you not watched this shit? I mean, come on. You know what it is.
Well, if you saw NXT, the whole thing with Edge and Finn Balor, they kind of did the same thing as well, but it's not going to be Edge and Finn Balor. I mean, as much as that'd be a great match, I mean, that's not going to happen.
Did they do that? I didn't see that. I haven't seen NXT yet.
Well, Edge was all over the place this week, which was fantastic. But yeah, they did something to that extent. But whatever, like, again, it's a bunch of teasing. And more than likely, it will be Bianca versus Sasha. I think that's the match people want to see. It's the best probable match, I think, out of all the possible champions that you could face. But, again, it's not 100% confirmed yet. They haven't said it's happening for sure. And again, too, like, Sasha has to defend the championship. Like, it's not guaranteed Sasha's going to WrestleMania. She still has to defend the title.
And that's why they haven't announced it yet, because we still have Elimination Chamber coming up on the 21st of February. We still have Fastlane coming up in March. So we still have 2 pay-per-views to get through before Bianca and Sasha at WrestleMania. And that's why they didn't announce it tonight. You know, that's why they didn't say Bianca versus Sasha, because Sasha's still going to have a title defense or 2 in the lead up to WrestleMania. But Johnny North can say it's not official. WWE can say it's not official. But I, Dave Simon, am giving it my guarantee official match for WrestleMania. Sasha Banks defending the SmackDown Women's Championship against Bianca Belair, winner of the Royal Rumble. It's happening. Okay? I'm giving my Dave Simon guarantee, John. And that's better than WWE making it official, because I don't lie to you like Vince does. Right?
Well, Vince doesn't lie. He always says cards subject to change, and he's always guaranteed us on that one. So I always believe card will be subject to change.
All right. Shout out to everybody on the chat. I see Derek John, my main man, became a member of the universe. We appreciate you, Derek. We appreciate you all supporting the channel, becoming members of the channel, become a member of the YouTube channel. You get priority in the chat, and I love you a little bit more, okay? I consider you a close personal friend when you become a member of the universe because you're like a member of the team. You know what I'm saying? And Derek John, member of the team, he'd rather see Edge versus Karrion Kross at WrestleMania, which would be a pretty badass match, and I would love to see it in the future. I just don't think we'll get there for Mania. We will talk about Edge and what he's going to do at WrestleMania. Mako 8033 continuing his quest to turn Johnny North blonde for some reason. He's in the chat. Lorne Cronish in the chat. Bob Cote, I see you. Matt O'Han. What's up, Matt? Good to see Matt. Andy Burrows out in London, England, in the morning time. That's dedication, brother. What time is it out in London? What are they, 8 hours ahead? Huh?
I want to say it's like 5 or something.
Oh, that is early. Is it in London? 3:23 a.m. It's like really morning. It's middle of the night in London. What's up, Andy? 3:15 a.m. Yeah. I love it. Love it. I love everybody all over the world. Derek John thinks it's going to be Banks versus Bianca versus Carmella. They did tease that because Carmella was in between the three of them. I just don't think that will be the Mania match. I think for Mania, you do a one-on-one, especially with the winner of a Royal Rumble. You win the Rumble, you get a one-on-one match for Mania. You know what I'm saying? When's the last time somebody won a Rumble and it was not a singles match at Mania?
It's probably when it was WrestleMania 20, when it was Benoit versus Michaels versus Triple H.
It's a long time ago. Right?
Well,
it's a long time.
It really shouldn't happen. I mean, you think about tradition, the fact that you won the Rumble, you should get the one-on-one shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you get the shot at the champion. Why does Carmella all of a sudden slide in, unless she wins the championship in between and Sasha wants a rematch? I guess you could figure that out and do that in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Derek John says they need a heel for the match. That's not a bad point either. But I think Sasha could turn heel up against Bianca going into it. But I don't know if you necessarily need a heel. I think you could do babyface versus babyface. Just because it's a competitive match. You know what I mean? And you're not sure who's going to win. You know the match is going to be solid, and you're going into it thinking, well, Sasha could very easily retain, or they could go with Bianca and go all the way with her. Like, it's an interesting matchup, and I don't know if you need a heel. I think sometimes just the intrigue of the two stars colliding is enough. Like, Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior, WrestleMania 6, no heel there. That was a pretty big match. It main evented.
It did. Different time, though, of course.
Sure, but they do more heel. But they do more babyface on babyface and heel on heel matches now than they did back then, right? Now it's like a regular occurrence, and you're like, who's the heel here? You can't quite tell what's going on. But back then, it was very rare. So to do it now, I think would be just fine. It would be just kind of par for the course.
Well, I don't know how you took that promo, but to me, Sasha comes off as like one of the biggest jerks in WWE, whether she's a face or a heel. So to me, like, she's the heel regardless if she tries to act like a face against Bianca.
I agree. I think she's a natural heel as well. The boss. I think that gimmick just works. And Bianca's she smiles too much to be a heel. You know what I mean? Like, she's always smiling. Even when she has been kind of a heel, she's always just smiling. So,
she's playing to the fake crowd, so she's definitely trying to be a face.
Yeah. Yeah. Antoinette, though, one of the members of the team, she says, not Sasha heel again too soon. Doesn't want to see Sasha turn heel. Douglas Hepburn wants to see Hacksaw Jim Duggan main eventing Mania. I don't think that's going to happen. Patrick C. Hamilton, a member of the team, says it's 9:23, I guess 9:26-ish now, where he is, earlier than where we are. It's about 10:26 here, Eastern Time. He's out in Regina, Saskatchewan. He also sees there's a Ben Simon emoji now for members. So the members of the channel, they get special emojis that they can use in the chat. There's a Dave emoji, a Johnny, a Freddie, an AJ. And now the new Ben Simon emoji. My brother has his own emoji. I mean, that is breaking news. Breaking news. I didn't even know that. Thank you, Patrick, for dropping that in there. That's fantastic. My brother's got an emoji now. He'll be pleased.
I'm sure he's happy.
Yeah. Hell yeah. A Ben Simon emoji. Good God almighty. Okay, John. Bianca Belair, Sasha Banks, I believe it will happen. We'll talk about the AEW thing in just a minute. We'll just recap SmackDown. Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns just won't go away. Roman Reigns cut a promo at the beginning of the show. He's like, I'm the obvious main event. Edge should be here. He should be choosing me. I'm the main event. I'm the big dog. Hoo-wah, head of the table. Da-da-da-da-da. Look at the T-shirt, right? And then Roman's like, well, Edge isn't here. Well, what's the deal? I want an answer by the end of the night from Edge. So then Edge is in the ring at the end of the night for a promo talking about winning the Rumble and WrestleMania. And Roman shows up with Jey Uso and Paul Heyman. And Edge is like, oh, I'm not intimidated by you, Roman. Did Edge say he's not here alone?
Well, no, he said, I'm out here alone. Like, Edge said that when he was in the ring later.
Yeah, but, like, no one revealed themselves to back up Edge, right?
No, Edge said he was out there alone. But,
he
Roman
said he was there alone. I couldn't hear because the damn fake crowd noise is too loud. Like, you can't hear over the crowd noise. It's really hard to hear the Roman Reigns Edge promos because when they're not doing the kind of over-the-top, I'm going to do this, and they're just kind of talking like, I'm Edge, and I'm going to do this. You can't hear what they're saying because they pump in that crowd noise way too loud. I feel like it's worse on SmackDown than it is on Raw for some reason. I don't know. Couldn't hear what Edge was saying. It depends on the situation. And then Roman was like, Edge, acknowledge me. Say my name. I'm the main guy. Face me at WrestleMania because you win the Rumble. You get to main event Mania. Why would you choose anyone else? I'm clearly the top star of WWE, which was a good, it made sense. And then Edge is kind of in a place where he has to make a decision. Kevin Owens shows up from behind, hits a stunner on Roman. Edge just kind of looks at him, and that's the end of SmackDown. So Edge has teased everybody. He teased cashing in or facing Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania on Raw. He teased facing Finn Balor on NXT, and he went to SmackDown and he teased facing Roman Reigns. We're a week into it now. Edge has won the Rumble. He's going to go to WrestleMania and face one of the champions here. I don't think it's going to be the NXT champion. I think we could just rule that out. I still think that they're going to find a way to put the WWE Championship on Randall Keith Orton, and it's going to be Randy and Edge for the belt at Mania. I still think they're going to do that. Like, Edge and Roman doesn't make enough sense to me. Edge and Finn, like, come on, you're dreaming. Edge and Drew doesn't make sense to me either because there you don't have a heel or there's no clear heel there. They're both baby faces, and it's not an intriguing enough match to do that. Like, you could get away with it with Sasha and Bianca, but like Edge and Drew, that's not a match that I would be hyped to see as far as what they do in the ring. And as far as who wins, like, I would kind of expect Edge to win, and I would be pretty bummed out if Drew won. So that's not something I want to see. Give it to Randy so he can drop it to Edge. That's what I would do. Give it to Randy in the Chamber or even at Fastlane, whatever you got to do. But I would give Randy the belt and do Edge and Randy for the belt. A year in the making. It's a year later after Edge's return at WrestleMania last year when he faced Randy. You do it again this year for the belt. Seems like pretty typical WWE stuff. Makes sense. Good story. Long arc. A few matches in between. A nice return. They set it up a little bit more in the Rumble. I mean, I don't know about you, but I saw Raw this week, and Randy Orton barely talking about The Fiend. He seemed more focused on Edge. I mean, he wrestled Edge in the main event, and they didn't have a clear finish. Or I guess they did. Edge did win, but Alexa Bliss was sitting there with black liquid dripping out of her mouth.
Oh, it was chocolate milk.
Was that chocolate milk? I thought she blew a demon. Can I say that?
I thought she just, gagged on chocolate milk, but different
what happens
things
when
we're
you
thinking,
suck
I guess.
the Fiend's dick?
What, chocolate milk comes out? That's kind
No,
of weird.
it's like he comes black because he's the Fiend, He's a demon. Kane does too. Undertaker, they all do. Demons. It's power. It's part. Look, Hulk Hogan was on a witness stand, and he was like, no, brother. When you're talking about my 10-inch penis, that's not my 10-inch penis. That's the character Hulk Hogan's 10-inch penis. So if Vince McMahon is going to go through the trouble when he's designing a character of talking about how big his penis is, then I assume that Vince McMahon is also going to talk about, what does the Fiend's ejaculate look like? Vince is the man who called himself a genetic jackhammer. I would assume that the Fiend's ejaculate would be black, and that's why Alexa Bliss was dripping black liquid out of her mouth. Is that wrong? That's just what my assumption was.
I'm kind of fearful of your imagination right now. Like, your imagination is very scary. I can only imagine. Yeah, apparently. Like, wow. I didn't think that whatsoever, but that's
I'm just joking. I didn't
think
that. I didn't think that either. But I was just trying to come up with a reason why Alexa Bliss would have black liquid dripping out of her mouth, and I was like, well, she seems pretty sweet on the Fiend, so, why not fellate him? And all right, let's get off this topic. This is not going to go well. This is going to end the show.
It hasn't gone well whatsoever. You going to talk about your favorite guy who got released too?
Alexa Bliss. No, I don't want to talk about him. Speaking of blowing guys, we're not going to talk about Lars Sullivan who got released. Like, what are we going to say? Lars got released. My only thought on Lars Sullivan is he didn't finish in porn like he didn't finish in WWE. He just leaves unfinished. That's the Lars Sullivan story. You think there should be an ending here to the story, and then it just kind of ends, and he leaves, and you're like, oh, there's no finish here. Should take lessons from the Fiend. He knows how to finish.
I thought, they're building him as a monster, have him face another monster at WrestleMania. Thought that could have worked out, but nope, not even that. Too bad.
So Edge beats Randy after Alexa Bliss sits on the ring corner with black liquid dripping out of her mouth, distracted Randy. Edge hits a spear and beats him. I think Randy finishes his business with the Fiend and then maybe takes the WWE title. I don't know. What else do you do with Edge at WrestleMania?
I'm really thinking it's going to be Roman. I mean, I love your idea about Randy Orton. I wish they would do that, but to me, on Raw, it felt like they're pushing away from that, and they're focusing more on the Fiend. So, I mean, I'd love it if the last minute suddenly Randy gets a shot, wins the title, and the WrestleMania main event's back on, but I don't see that happening. I think Edge will make the decision before then, at least by Elimination Chamber. I think we'll know who he's facing. And I think it's going to be Roman because, like, right now, he's the only heel champion.
Yeah. I mean, Edge-Roman is not bad. It's not a bad feud. It's, they could do good work on the microphone. We might see Edge and Christian versus Roman and Jey Uso tag team match at some point. Yeah. We'll see, man. I'm not sure what they're going to do. I'm enjoying the ride. Mako8033 wants to know, a Ben emoji, where do I sign? You have to become a member of the YouTube channel, Mako. And Derek John making a good point saying Randy never got his match with Drew when Drew had COVID. Remember they were supposed to do Randy versus Drew? Wasn't it for the title on Raw, but then Drew had COVID and Randy showed up and he's like, Triple H, just give me the belt. And then that never happened, right? Wasn't there supposed to be a match?
Supposed to be a match. I don't know if it was for the title. One advertisement said title, one advertisement said non-title. So it was never clearly stated. But yeah,
Unfinished
I mean,
business.
I'd love Randy to get the shot, and yes, Randy versus Edge, to me, that should be the main event of WrestleMania. Sadly, I don't know if they're going that direction because, like, Roman Reigns kind of said it, he is the main event. So if it's not Roman Reigns versus Edge at WrestleMania, I'd be very surprised.
Yeah, and there's also a lot of talk about Randy versus The Fiend at WrestleMania too, right? So there's a possibility that they just keep pushing that. Derek John wants us to talk about Tyler Rex. Do you see that? Do you see what's going on
He's
there?
Gabby now. Gabby Tough now, I think that's his name.
Is that the name?
Or her name, sorry.
Yes,
her name,
that's
sorry.
her name, please. Respect. Tyler Rex, former WWE superstar who was a pretty jacked man, is now a woman named Gabby Tuft. Is she still jacked? I have not seen. Oh, yeah. Can I show you some images of this? Let's see. Yeah, there's pictures out there. There we go.
Not many, but there's a couple, I think.
There. There's a Gabby Tuft, formerly Tyler Rex. You see the picture there? There's old Tyler. Tyler was jacked. Tyler was in a tag team and had a cool little YouTube show. Who was his tag team partner? Who was...
It was Kurt Hawkins.
Can we talk... God, I don't know. Kurt Hawkins, right? Yeah. And they had like a little YouTube show, didn't they? When they were in NXT, I want to say. And it was good.
I never saw it, but I believe so. That it existed. I don't know if it was good or not.
Or maybe it was on the WWE, on WWE.com. Something like that. But I remember enjoying that tag team. And now Tyler Rex, yeah. Gabby Tuft. That made news all over the place, and yeah. Good for her. Good for her. Always happy to see people living the life that they want to lead, right? Obviously a difficult road at times, and like, you know, if you're living as a dude your whole life and a big jack dude, and then you feel like a woman inside, I'm sure there's a lot of turmoil there. So good for Gabby. Good for Gabby.
Well, she's also married. So
she's married, yeah. Why is that interesting? She married to a woman?
Yes.
Oh. Huh. Does she still wrestle?
Oh, I think did a couple indie matches, but you know, since the transformation, I don't believe so.
Oh. I think it's called Transition. I don't think it's... Yeah, okay. It's not Transformer. John.
It's like magic.
Robots
it could be like
in
magic.
disguise. Yeah, sure. But I think it's cool. I think it would be cool if she still wrestled. You know, a big jacked woman like that. I mean, look at Nyla Rose in AEW, transgender woman wrestling, doing really well. It's good. Works. You know, we're at a point now in 2021 where I'm just like, yeah, cool. I see people that are, you know, they're formerly big jacked men and then they become women, and I'm like, oh, yeah. Like, you know, it used to be like at a point where, because it was new, it was like something that you didn't see that often, and you were like, oh, yeah, that's something, you know? Like, you would react, but now it's like, it happens so often, you're just like, oh, yeah. It's like when Trina Leahy said she was a man now. He was a man now, right? Trina Leahy. I forget the name of the actor.
I think it's Ellen Page.
Ellen Page, but now her name is something else, right? You got his name. God damn. I'm really sorry about that. I'm trying to get it right. And Elliot Page. His name is now Elliot Page, formerly Ellen Page, now transgender male. Elliot Page, she was in the Trailer Park Boys. When I saw that, I was like, oh, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it just kind of happens, and you're like, it happens so often these days. Like, there are stories every couple of weeks of somebody kind of well-known that was one gender, and now they're another gender, and you're like, oh, okay, good for them. Cool. But I do remember a time when it was, like, a little bit different. But now it's like, it seems so regular that it just happens every day that, it's like, Derek John, a couple people wanted us to talk about it, but I was like, okay, I don't know what there is to talk about it. Tyler Rex used to be a wrestler, used to be a tag team partner of Kurt Hawkins in WWE, and now she's a woman called Gabby Tuft. All right.
Well, I guess they just want to know, like, if you knew any more details. Like, I'm not sure or not. Did, like, she get the surgery as well? Because some get the surgery.
Who cares?
Well, some people are interested because some people get the surgery.
Well, so what do you? I mean, do you?
Because
really
think
care?
about it. If
did
you wrestle,
you care about Tyler Rex's penis? Did you care about Tyler Rex's penis? Did you care when he was a wrestler? Did you think about his penis?
Not at all.
So what do you care now? Why are you thinking about it now? Why are you thinking about Tyler Rex's penis? You know what I mean? It's just there's no point. Who cares? I don't care at all about that. It's none of our business, and I really I don't see why anyone should even ask that question, John. To be really real with you, I don't think it's appropriate.
I'll be real with you here. I'll be real right here. If she comes back and wrestles, that's not going to be something.
What do you mean? Something.
Because, wrestlers that wear trunks.
Oh, my God. How rude. Are you looking? I mean, how many?
I'm just telling you.
Yeah, you see wrestlers wearing trunks all the time. Are you looking at their dicks? Are you, John?
You can tell with some wrestlers.
Yeah, is that why you're such a big Randy Orton fan? Because wears those tiny little trunks? Is that why you love Randy so much? Randy, Goldberg, all your favorites seem to have the same attire, John. I'm noticing a trend. Maybe you're just obsessed with wrestler penises, and that's why you're so concerned here.
I think some women might have a problem with that.
Oh, my God. John, you're living in another century, bro. Come on. I don't think so. Not anymore.
I don't think so.
And if you do, get it together. It's over. AJ's right. Manscaped time. If you're concerned about your penis, like Johnny North is concerned about everybody else's penis, you better manscape yourself. You better go to manscaped.com, use that promo code ringside20, you get 20% off your order, you get free shipping. That's a good deal. 20% off your order and free shipping. You get that lawnmower 3.0. You get so many great things over at manscaped.com. You take care of your junk. You stay nice and trim. Whether you're cisgender male, whether you're a transgender person, you could be a woman as well. I mean, you want to trim your area? You could use a Manscaped lawnmower 3.0. Why not? Why not, baby? It's 2021. Manscaped doesn't just have to be for men, I don't think. All right? Could be for transgender people. Could be for anybody. Could be for anybody and any hair that you need to get rid of. Use that Lawnmower 3.0. It's tremendous. Tremendous product. And they got so many great products. I mean, they do have ball deodorants, which I think is just for your balls. So if you have balls, and it's not just men who have balls. If you have balls, you want that ball deodorant. You want your balls smelling nice. Manscaped.com. Use that promo code ringside20. You get 20% off your order. You get free shipping. And you support the Ringside Report Network at the very same time. Derek John says he regrets bringing up the Tyler Rex situation. And Agent Orion says, what a time to join the stream. Yeah, welcome to the show. We are talking about transgender rights issues in professional wrestling for some reason. Whew. And AJ says it's all about the Franken beans. AJ's really obsessed with the Franks and beans, just like you are, John. You and AJ, obsessed with balls and penises for some reason. I don't know about you guys, but I like women. Anyways, what the hell were we
You're
talking
talking about
about?
different colors of how things come out of penises. So
Yes, I was talking about how the Fiend probably ejaculates black liquid because that was coming out of Alexa Bliss's mouth on Raw. And it was either that or Papa Shango put a curse on her. Your choice. I haven't seen
I would
liquid
definitely
like that
take Papa
come out of
Shango
some
over that.
like Ultimate Warrior, remember? Remember when Ultimate Warrior had like the liquid coming down and Papa Shango put a curse on him? That was scary, man. When I was a kid, that was like what, 92-ish, 91-ish? I was maybe 6, 7, 5, in that range. Scary. That curse was scary.
Yeah, as a kid, sure, of course.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of ridiculous looking back on it.
Yeah, now the only thing that scares me is Jade Cargill. We'll talk about her in a minute. I love Jade
Didn't really
Cargill.
do anything this week. It's kind of disappointing, actually.
She's frightening, though, man. You see how much muscles she has. Good God almighty. What else happened on SmackDown? Dominic Mysterio beat King Corbin. Yeah, that's right. Dominic Mysterio beat King Corbin with a 619 and a top rope splash with help from his father, Ray. Ray held Corbin's foot so that Dominic could hit the 619. It was just revenge because Corbin attacked Dominic and Ray before their match. Cesaro beat Daniel Bryan with a sharpshooter. Daniel Bryan taps out to the sharpshooter. Daniel Bryan is on a big-time losing streak. And Cesaro beats him. Cesaro's on a big winning streak. He was cut open on the side of his head. I had to rewind a couple times to figure out how that happened. It was on the dive to the outside. Daniel Bryan did like a crossbody, and it looked like his elbow hit the top of Cesaro's head, causing that big gash. That's what it looked like to me anyways, John. Do you have a different theory on how Cesaro got cut open?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, he got cut open in a match prior, and I think he just reopened that wound. I think he just had to pretty much just touch it or just push on it, which I think he did off that dive, and it just opened up again. It looked way too easy for it to open up, so I think it was just an old wound that opened up.
I see. Thought the match was pretty good, though. Anytime Cesaro and Daniel Bryan are in there, it's a pretty kick-ass match. Match of the night on SmackDown this week, right?
I thought it was good. The problem is, though,
Triple Threat was good, too, though. Triple Threat was good. I did like that.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, it had competition. Like, normally Daniel Bryan versus Cesaro. Oh, yeah, match of the night for sure. But then you had Big E versus Apollo and Sami Zayn in a triple threat for the Intercontinental Championship. And that was a pretty kick-ass match, too. Two very good matches on SmackDown. I didn't mind the Dirty Dogs over Otis and Chad Gable either. That was a pretty decent match. The commentary was kind of annoying, the Street Profits doing that, but Ziggler and Rude as the Dirty Dogs, not bad. And Otis and Gable are a good tag team. I just wish they'd get a little bit more of a push because they just lose. Gable just takes the fall after a DDT from Rude. I don't know. But I thought the match was good. Good wrestling tonight on SmackDown. Dominic and Corbin, whatever. But then Cesaro, Daniel Bryan, solid. Bayley beating Ruby Riott was fine, for what it was. Dirty Dogs over Otis and Gable was good. Big E over Apollo and Sammy was good. Good matches tonight on SmackDown. Some solid wrestling.
Yeah, SmackDown was fine this week. Raw was atrocious this week, but yeah, SmackDown made up for how bad Raw was, I thought.
Yeah. The worst thing on SmackDown, unfortunately, was Hulk Hogan.
Well, I don't know. I thought that Sasha Bianca promo wasn't that great when they all got in the ring together. Reginald really brought it down a lot, too. It's his fault, too.
Are you kidding me? I loved how confused that was. And why was Reginald, so hell-bent on talking about how great Sasha Banks is? It was very strange. Yeah, I love the bizarreness of that whole thing. I thought that was fun. Come on, Hogan's promo? He called Andre the Giant a no-good, stinky, wart-infested giant. He's still cutting promos on him and shitting on him like he's alive. The guy's been dead for like 20 years, and you call him no good, stinky, wart-infested? Like, that's pretty disrespectful, Terry. What's going on? That promo was the shits. It was horrible. Hogan was like, oh, brother, Edge was my tag team partner, and he's going to pick somebody to wrestle at Mania because he won the Rumble, brother. And what you going to do when Edge and Hulkamania run wild on you? And that was it. That was it. He's like, oh, it was 33 years ago today that I beat that no-good, stinky, wart-infested giant, brother. And Edge, which reminds me of WrestleMania, because Edge is going to WrestleMania, and he was my tag team partner, and what you gonna do? And I was like, shit. I thought this was supposed to be like, okay, Hulk, what do you think? Who do you think Edge is gonna choose for his opponent at Mania? Who would you choose? Give us a breakdown. Well, brother, I think Roman Reigns is a really good choice. I would go after him, brother. He's a top dog, head of the table. That's who I would pick, brother. Give me something. Don't give me what you're going to do when Edge and Hulkamania run wild on you. Hulkamania's going to be running wild on somebody? Like, what the hell was that? Disrespecting Andre? That was fucked up, man. When they advertise Hulk Hogan on SmackDown, come on, I'm a Hulkamaniac. I'm a Hulk Hogan fan. I grew up on Terry. I was like, yeah, here we go. What's he going to do? Is he going to be in the ring? He's via satellite with Jimmy Hart there sitting there doing nothing. Cuts a minute-long promo about a stinky, wart-infested giant. Edge was his tag team partner and tries to relate it to himself and Hulkamania running wild. God damn, man. Am I the only one that was that disappointed with that bullshit?
I was disappointed because, what else, what were you expecting there? He just cut, a usual Hulk Hogan promo. Maybe he didn't like a lot of his verbiage, but that's what Hogan says. And I respect Hogan for keeping kayfabe. Regardless if Andre's dead, he was still his enemy, and he'll put him down no matter what. I respect that.
You respect that? What's the matter with you, John? What is the matter with you?
Enemies to the end, man. Doesn't matter. Dead or alive. You're still my enemy. Love it.
Good God Almighty. And that was SmackDown tonight, right? That's all that happened. Not great. Not bad. Average show. Pretty disappointing, though. My big bummer with the show was not only the Hulkster promo, but also, Roman starts the show and he's like, I want an answer from Edge by the end of the night. I kind of thought we might get an answer. And then at the edge of the night, End comes out and gives us no answer. Edge comes out and he's like, well, and then Kevin Owens interrupts and we're left with nothing. We're left with, oh, I guess Roman's going to wrestle Kevin Owens for the 8th, 9th time in a row, and Kevin will definitely lose. And then Edge is still kind of undecided. So the show ending was kind of unfortunate, disappointing, but typical bait and switch WWE stuff, right? That's just what they do. They bait and switch you. They're like, end of the night, Edge is going to give you an answer. And then you fucking sit there for 2 hours, and at the end of the night, Edge gives you no answer. So you're mad at Edge. You're mad at SmackDown. You're mad at yourself for sitting through 2 hours of this bullshit. Not
good. I didn't get mad watching this.
Not mad.
Why you get
annoyed? A little annoyed.
Well, I've expected this. I've gotten used to this. When do they ever just say straight up, yep, I'm going to take this guy. This is going to be in the match WrestleMania. It's way too soon for that. Unless it was something like you have Edge and Randy Orton, you could pretty much have set in stone no matter what. But everything else, everything seems like it's up in the air. Let it go for a bit. Let Edge have those confrontations, and then let's see how people react to that. And then going forward, we can figure out who he should face. More than likely, it's going to be Roman because I think it's the best fit. But still, let it breathe a bit.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to wait and see with Edge. Just want to give a mention to Butch Reed, who passed away today. Rest in peace, Butch Reed. One half of the great tag team Doom with Ron Simmons, a legend of the wrestling game. I was not a guy who grew up on Butch Reed. I don't know like that much about Butch Reed, but I know that people have a lot of good things to say about him. You know, like I've always been aware of Butch Reed and who he was. Big, strong, tough-looking guy, jacked to the gills, WCW wrestler, but a guy that I didn't really see growing up. Started his career in the late 70s, wrestled in the mid-80s in Mid-South, NWA. He had a couple of years in the WWF between 86 and 88. And he was in WCW for a good chunk between 88 and 92. And that was pretty much the end of his Major League Wrestling career around 1992 when he left WCW. And that's why, I never really saw Butch Reed because I wasn't watching WCW in 1988, unfortunately. Because I was 3 years old and we didn't get the channel. So, right? I didn't have WCW on TV. Like, the only wrestling I had was Saturday at noon on CFCF. They had WWF Superstars for an hour. Growing up, like, for the first, few years of my wrestling fandom, I would say this would be maybe 89, 1990, when I first started watching wrestling, around 4 years old, 1989-ish, 1990-ish. That's all we had up until, I'd say, the mid to late 90s, around 96, 97. That's when you started to see WCW TV pop up. Eventually, Nitro was on TV and Raw was on TV here. I remember Raw, when Raw started, like, you couldn't get it in Canada. It wasn't on Canadian TV. It was on the USA Network, but, like, you couldn't watch it. Times have changed so much, right? There's so much wrestling on TV now. It's so accessible. It's so easy to watch everything. But growing up, like, I never watched WCW. Did you?
I saw it on CFCF, like, I think at 5 o'clock. I think it was Saturday night. Sometimes it'd be like a hour-long, like, recap of Nitro or something. Sometimes
that was
it'd be
later.
worldwide.
That was later. Like, you're talking about 95, 96 when that was happening. 1990,
Right.
91, 92, 93, there was no WCW. Like, when Butch Reed was wrestling in WCW, we didn't have WCW TV here. We just had WWF.
Right, but I mean, you could still see like old WWF, WCW stuff. Like, it was still available back then to watch the old like home videos. And like, if I remember correctly, I think he wrestled on WrestleMania 3. I believe it was Coco Beware, if I'm not mistaken. And I think he wrestled Macho Man WrestleMania 4. Like, he didn't last long in WWF. I think he was a bit longer in WCW and more memorable because of his tag team in Doom. And I believe his cage match with Ron Simmons. Like, yeah, it wasn't long, but he still had some pretty big matches. He wrestled a lot of top guys, if you think about it, in both companies.
Yeah, he was eliminated from the championship tournament at WrestleMania 4 by Macho Man Savage, and he beat Coco Beware at WrestleMania 3. So he was there for those kind of early days. But again, I was like 3 years old, so I don't really remember. He wrestled in WWF from 86 to 88. I was born in 85. I don't really, My memories of Butch Reed, honestly, were from the WCW trading cards that I had. That was the only knowledge of WCW I had. I had these trading cards. You remember trading cards, like baseball cards or whatever, but they were WCW cards. And I had like several packs. So I had a bunch of people. I had a Jim Ross card. I had a Cactus Jack. I had a Doom. So like on the back of the card, they give you a little information on who these guys are. That was my only window into WCW as a kid. But I would look at those cards and I'd be like, oh, that's Flying Brian Pillman. That's Z-Man. That's, they had all these weird names. And I was like, who are these guys? Eventually, some of them you would come to know. But for little Dave, I never got to know Butch Reed. But then I remember, like when Farouk first came to WWF and he was Ron Simmons, I was like, oh, that's that guy from Doom from my trading card that I had. I'd never seen him wrestle, but I knew exactly who he was because I'd seen that picture and I knew his name, That's all I had. That's all we had back then, John.
I understand. I mean, it was tougher to know about NWA, WCW back then. But that's the great thing about having the network, which you have. You can relive his glory days.
That's it. Derek John saying WCW was on TSN, the Power Hour. I don't remember the Power Hour. He remembers Butch Reed on Superstars. I guess Derek John might be a couple years older than me because I do not remember Butch Reed on Superstars because that must have been between 86 and 88. Douglas Hepburn says wrestling magazines were very cool back then. Exactly. Wrestling magazines, trading cards, whatever you had, to kind of figure out who was who and what was what. I remember seeing a picture of Rob Van Dam diving over the top rope, and it was clear that his opponent, I think it was Jerry Lynn, was like in the front row or in the second row, and RVD was like flipping through the air, heading towards that spot. He was going to dive on Jerry Lynn. And I saw that picture in a wrestling magazine, and I was like, wow, this guy RVD is doing some other shit, because wrestling wasn't like that back then. And that was my only window into ECW. I was like, what is this ECW stuff? I'd heard of Rob Van Dam. I'd heard of these guys, but only through these magazines. It's so awesome now with, if you hear about somebody, you can find one of their matches and you can watch them. Anybody. If there's a wrestling product that you want to watch now, you could watch it. If you want to watch AEW, it's easily accessible. You want to watch Impact, easily accessible. WWE, I mean, what kind of WWE you want to watch? They got everything. You got the network, you got Raw, you got SmackDown, You want to watch New Japan Pro Wrestling. Like, I remember when New Japan Pro Wrestling was a thing that you knew about, but you were never going to see. It was in Japanese. You had to trade tapes, You had to really track it down. Now, all their shows have commentary in English. It's $10 a month. You could watch the whole New Japan. You could be a wrestling fan and just watch New Japan living in, New York City. You don't have to watch any North American wrestling shows. You could just watch New Japan. And now, if you're familiar with New Japan, well, business just picked up for you, didn't it? Things got a little bit more fun. Kenta appears on AEW Dynamite. Kenta, who is a New Japan Pro Wrestling contracted talent, showed up at the end of AEW Dynamite this week, and I lost my mind. Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers beat Rey Fenix, Pac, and Jon Moxley. The Good Brothers hit the Magic Killer on Phoenix for the win. Then they beat up on Moxley after the match. Lance Archer makes the save for some reason and takes out the Good Brothers. Why Lance Archer is here, I have no idea, but we'll get to that. John Moxley goes to attack Kenny, but Kenta shows up and takes Moxley out with a GTS. So, Kenta and Moxley have a thing going because Kenta has a title shot for Moxley's IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship. So, Moxley holds the belt. He hasn't been able to defend the belt because he hasn't been able to go to Japan. Kenta has been working the NJPW Strong shows. A lot of these shows have been taking place exclusively in the United States. They've been taping shows in the States. Kenta is here, and Kenta is going to face Moxley, I think, on that New Japan Strong show. I'll give you the date exactly for Moxley and Kenta. I think it's the 21st, possibly, of February. It's coming up soon.
Oh, that was next week.
Oh, is it next week? You might be right. I'll give you the schedule. New Japan Pro Wrestling schedule.
I mean, they're going to wrestle Dynamite anyways next week, so why not have the match next week?
When the hell is this match? New Beginning USA. Isn't it New Beginning NJPW Strong New Beginning USA 2021? Isn't that it? February 26th?
I thought it was just the next show that they have in the States. That's the one that's going to be. I'm not sure what the name is exactly, but I thought their next show was definitely going to have them on it.
Jon Moxley versus Kenta. If somebody on the chat knows the exact date, hit me up with that. But that match is going to happen soon. It's happening this month, and I'll be able to tell you exactly when. It's not Castle Attack. Is it Castle Attack? In Osaka Joe Hall? No, they're not doing it in Japan, are they?
Highly doubtful, right? Because wouldn't they have to quarantine her? Unless they don't have that for Japan, but I'm pretty sure they do.
Yeah, they do. God damn. When the hell is this match? Finish Strong. Yeah, it's on Strong, isn't it? February 26th. Isn't that what I said?
No, actually, I thought you said like mid-February.
No, that's what I said. February 26th, New Beginning USA, New Japan Strong. That's exactly what I said. Friday, February 26th. Thank you. I'm right. Friday, February 26th, it will be Jon Moxley versus Kenta, New Beginning USA, for the U.S. Championship. So that match is going down for New Japan, but in the States, on Friday, February 26th. All right? Live at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. God damn it. That's when we go on.
Well, you can just watch it whenever you want, though, because like you have New Japan World, so.
Yeah, that's right. You're damn right I have New Japan World. So, Kenta shows up. He's got this feud with Moxley. But showing up in AEW, like, okay, Moxley showing up in New Japan and AEW, that's already established. He's been doing that since he left WWE because he's got that in his contract. He's kind of not a free agent, but he can kind of go where he wants, right? That's part of his deal. But Kenta, a New Japan talent, showing up in AEW, that's a different story. That changes the game. So now the borders are open with New Japan Pro Wrestling, with Impact Wrestling. Take it easy, John. Not the literal borders of countries. Of course, those are closed, kind of. But the wrestling borders are opening up, and when the real borders open up, look out. Because you have Impact, you have AEW, and you have New Japan now working together. It's a lot of talent. It's a lot of dream matches. It's a lot of possibilities. And of course, Kenny Omega is the AEW World Champion. Kota Ibushi is the IWGP Double Champion, Heavyweight Champion, and Intercontinental Champion. A lot of people feel it's only a matter of time before the collision. And it's possible now. Okada showing up in AEW is possible now. Okada showing up in Impact is possible now, although I would advise against it because last time he was in Impact, it wasn't so good for Okada. But the talent that is now available, like if El Phantasmo and Taiji Ishimori showed up on Dynamite and just started like wrestling, FTR or something, people's minds would be blown. If Shingo Takagi showed up on Dynamite to wrestle like Rey Fenix, could you imagine? Like, there's money in a lot of these deals here, a lot of this talent, and these dream matches are coming. I am very excited at the possibilities. When Kenta showed up It wasn't just Kenta showing up to further the feud with Jon Moxley. It's a New Japan talent showing up on AEW that completely changes the wrestling landscape and changes the game. Completely.
I like to believe that, but I feel like you're rushing it a bit here. Like, I think you're getting glimpses of it, and maybe you might get a couple of stars here and there, but I don't think you'll see a bunch of stars come over to AEW. Again, because of the restrictions, you'll get maybe, you get one, maybe you'll get another one. You're not going to get them all in one bunch, though.
Sure, and that's fine, and I'm not talking about right now. I'm talking about what this means for a year from now, what this means for 2 years from now. This is big. And once COVID is figured out, once the borders are opened up and we can travel freely and be safe again, which is going to happen. We're on the road to that. It is happening. We will get out of this at some point. Whether it's this year or next year, the vaccine is out there. It's going to happen. So at some point, when everything's normal again, traveling between Japan and the United States won't be an issue, and who knows what kind of dream matches are going to be possible. So I just look at the talent, I look at the possibilities, and I look at 3 of the biggest wrestling companies in the world now working together. That's big. And I would say that the WWE has the best single roster of any wrestling company currently. But I would say as well that if you combine the Impact, AEW, and New Japan rosters, it would stack up and probably be better than the WWE roster. If we're being honest, if you're going to add up all 3 of those wrestling companies and look at what they have, yeah, it's better than WWE. It is. It's close, though, because WWE has a ridiculous amount of talent on board. Patrick C. Hamilton wants to know, yeah, Kenny Omega was in Japan before. He was in New Japan. And I'm sure that the New Japan Pro Wrestling team would not mind having him back for some big matches. Former world champion there. His matches with Okada are legendary. I really feel that this is great for so many guys in Japan, especially Okada and Tanahashi. Because those guys, they've kind of done it all in Japan. There's nobody really in New Japan Pro Wrestling that stacks up to them. Like, they have them, and they're not the champions, and they lose matches, whatever. But, like, especially Okada at this point, he's so young, and he's kind of done it all in New Japan. A change of scenery would be good for him. A change of scenery has always been good in pro wrestling. You go away for a while, you go to a new territory, It's not a bad move. Kazuchika Okada is a world-class talent. Tetsuya Naito, these guys are... The roster of New Japan is ridiculous. And some of the guys that aren't their main guys, I'm talking about the Naitos and the Okada, but, how about Hiromu? How about El Phantasmo? How about Taichi Ishimori? How about Doki? You telling me Doki wouldn't fit in great in AEW? He would. And a lot of people out there are saying, who's Doki? Johnny North is like, who's Doki?
Well,
Doki's bad. You don't know who Doki is?
I'm just thinking you should put over like the people that you have working for you now. Like, they have Kenta. Kenta is quite amazing, and you're not putting him over. And we have him next week on Dynamite. I think you should be talking more about Kenta.
I want to talk about Doki though. Look at that guy. Doki, don't fuck with Doki. Doki, that guy. He could be in AEW. I'm just saying that there are guys that are kind of like under the radar in New Japan and maybe don't have that much going on. But if they showed up in AEW, oh shit. But yes, it will be Kenta and Kenny versus who? Archer and what?
And
What's the
Moxley.
match? Is that really happening on Dynamite this week already? They're not waiting?
Yeah. No.
Good God Almighty! Isn't AEW
So that's what you
the
should be
best?
talking about.
Yeah. Don't tell me what I should be talking about. You just start talking about it. All right, I'll catch up. All right.
Well, I thought the Kenny and Kenta, that promo they did after Dark went off the air. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
That was enjoyable when Kenta told him to go F himself.
Yeah. Yeah, Kenny and Kenta versus Jon Moxley and Lance Archer coming up on Dynamite this week. Good God. It's a Falls Count Anywhere match.
Well, lights out, whatever. No
right.
rules, unsanctioned.
Oh, yeah. Kenny did say that in his promo there. Lights out, unsanctioned match, anything goes. Yeah, Kenny and Kenta don't seem to be on the same page. Kenny seemed happy to see Kenta, but Kenta didn't seem to be friends with Kenny. And that's also leading towards a big match between the Bullet Club versus the Elite. Like, there's a lot of heat there. There's a lot of stuff going on. Tama Tonga is always talking shit on his podcast about the fake Bullet Club, you know? He doesn't like these guys, the Elite, the Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks. So there's stuff going on. And I don't know if you noticed, but Kenny in his little promo there with Kenta said, "Oh, brother Jay didn't tell me that you were going to be here." He was talking about Jay White. Interesting, just name drop there. Call him brother Jay. So like Kenny's on the same page with Jay White, who's in the Bullet Club over in Japan. But then Jay White's buddies like Tama Tonga, they're talking shit about Kenny. Like, what's going on here? So there's a lot of moving parts, you know? You got the Good Brothers and the Young Bucks. Are they on the same page? Are they not? It's exciting storyline-wise, and it's exciting for the business because things are really starting to move now. Things are really starting to move with AEW and New Japan, and you never know where it's going to go next. We also have Darby Allin versus Joey Janela for the TNT title set for Dynamite. Is that a no DQ match? It should be.
I don't believe so, but I imagine that match will feature some extreme moments because that's what those guys do. And apparently they have quite a history of doing crazy things, even in normal matches. So I'd be disappointed if I didn't see crazy stuff.
I'm pretty excited for that. That's going to be good. Chris Jericho and MJF will take on the Acclaimed, also known as the John Cena guys, who cut a really good promo for the Battle Royal. I don't know if you saw their Battle Royal promo when they were running down all the tag teams there. That little rap that he did was pretty good. It was better than the one that he did on Dynamite when he came to the ring. The pre-tape was much better, but it was just on like Twitter or Instagram or whatever. Chris Jericho won the AEW Tag Team Battle Royal. So Jericho and MJF win the Battle Royal. Jericho wins it for his team. I thought the Battle Royal was good. Bit of confusion at the end there with MJF and Jungle Boy and Jericho. Like, what was going on there? They're trying to put Jungle Boy in the corner, but Jericho was in the corner. They were really confused. MJF and Jungle Boy, I don't know. Jungle Boy's elimination was super weird, too. What's going on there?
Well, it just seems like someone was in the wrong place when they needed someone to be there, and
I think it was Jericho.
They're just like, oh, screw it, threw him out, and that's it. Yeah, they moved Jericho all the way, just threw Jungle Boy out. Oh well, like to me, it seemed like kind of a mess.
MJF moved Jericho like he was a piece of furniture that was in his way. It was really weird.
Right.
Jericho just looked like blown up and confused.
Yeah, someone was just in the wrong place, the wrong time, and another thing too is that they have to worry about commercials, right? So they got to finish that match at a certain time. So they were probably rushing, and that's why you got something like that happening. Also, probably why they rang the bell before anyone really got in the ring, because they were rushing for time. But unfortunately, when you do that, you mess up the match, and there was obviously some mistakes throughout the whole match.
I liked it though. I don't know. I was entertained. I was just fixated on John Silver the whole time, and he was killing it. He was so good. When Alex Reynolds got eliminated by Jake Hager, and then Uno and Silver united to eliminate Hager, and then Silver jumps in Uno's arms to celebrate the elimination, like, yeah, that was the moment for me. And then did you notice when Silver got eliminated, the crowd was booing. And the crowd didn't really boo anybody's elimination. They were just like, oh, okay, that's happening. But when Silver got eliminated, you could hear the crowd, the small crowd, they were loudly booing because they want Johnny Hungy to win. And this is something that I don't think AEW understands. All we want to see is John Silver. Johnny Hungy. Just give me more of him. More and more and more. Like, I can't get enough. I don't know about you, Johnny, but I can't get enough of Johnny Hungy. I want to see more of this guy. And when he loses, you're like, ah. I don't know if AEW realizes how over he is. Because to me, I don't think there's anybody more over in AEW. In my house, I'm telling you, John, Johnny Hungy is our favorite wrestler today. There's nobody we like better. Pound for pound entertainment, minute by minute entertainment. There's nobody that is entertaining me more than John Silver. In 2020 professional wrestling, 2021, sorry, nobody better than Johnny Silver.
Well, I don't share the same opinion, but I can understand that. People are behind him like crazy, and he's very lovable as a character, I suppose, and he's slowly getting over, I think, in the ring. So, yeah, I understand that. I feel AEW understands what they have, and it's just a slow build. So, just eventually he'll become a bigger star, but it's also difficult when you're in a big group. You don't want to completely just like exclude everyone else from that group. You also want to make other people stars in the group as well.
Yeah, and they do a really good job of that on BTE. It's not just John Silver that's a star. Uno is becoming a great star. I loved seeing Uno. Stu Grayson had a really good showing in the Battle Royal. I think with Silver getting over, Uno and Grayson have got over quite a bit as well. All that Anna Jay, Stu Grayson stuff on BTE is really good. John Silver lost the BTE championship this week to Sammy Guevara in a field goal kicking competition, which pissed me off because John Silver is my favorite part of BTE, and the fact that he's not going to be defending the BTE championship anymore means we're going to see less of John Silver and more of Sammy Guevara, which, like, I don't know. Dark Order had a slumber party this week on BTE. Hangman was there, but Anna told Hangman to leave because, he's just teasing the boys and he broke their hearts when he didn't join the Dark Order, so she's pissed at him. She doesn't want Johnny Hungy to be sad,
Okay, yeah, well, I said Raw sounds bad. A lot of other things sound bad in wrestling too, unfortunately.
Are you kidding? You didn't see the Good Brothers and the Young Bucks on BTE this week at the beginning of the show when they're talking about smoking weed and whacking off? Fantastic. They did a whole bit. In their Dynamite match. They talked about how much of their Dynamite match had to be cut because of the things that the Good Brothers did. The Good Brothers did some things during the match that they had to cut out of the TNT broadcast because it was too much. At one point, they have like their three opponents in powerbomb positions, and like Gallows just like mimes smoking a joint. And then he passes it to Carl, and Carl hits it. And then they go to pass it to, I think, Matt. And Matt's like, no. Matt Jackson of the Bucks. He's like, no. And then and Gallows is like, give it back to me. So Gallows, like, he's hitting it hard. And then he puts it out on, like, his opponent's back or whatever. And then they all get backdropped. It was a really good spot. It was a pretty funny spot. But they had to cut it off the TNT show. But they showed it on BTE. You missed out. It was funny, man. And I had no idea, like, so much of the Bucks and Good Brother stuff was cut out for the Dynamite match last week. And you find out about that stuff on BTE. And the promos that the Good Brothers and the Bucks are doing together on BTE, like, just watch that. You don't need to watch anything else. Just watch the first 2 minutes of BTE, and you're good, John. The rest of it is like, whatever. Dark Order slumber parties, Brandon Cutler with Luchasaurus looking at animatronic dinosaurs. Matt Hardy backstage with Private Party. That was actually kind of funny. Gallows was sleeping backstage, so Private Party, because they have a match with Gallows and Anderson for the Impact Tag Team titles coming up, they decide to mess with Gallows. He's asleep, so they ring a bell, and you know what happens when you ring a bell with Gallows? He turns into Festus. So he went bananas as Festus, but they made sure to say... Carl Anderson's like, oh, it's Festus with a PH, just in case Vince still owns the gimmick, which I thought was really funny. This is just good stuff. It's funny, a fun little bit. That was a good bit on BTE. And then Matt Hardy's like, all right, guys, you did a good job with messing with Gallows and Anderson. Let's go have some lunch. We're going to have some biscuits and gravy. You know, biscuits and gravy. Remember their theme song, the Jesse and Festus? Because Carl Anderson was like, oh, wait a second. If Gallows is Festus with a PH, then I'm Jesse, and I don't want to be Jesse, which was really funny, too. But Jesse and Festus, their theme song was biscuits and gravy made me a man. Biscuits and gravy made me all that I am. Biscuits and gravy. What a song. What a song. Biscuits and gravy. What a gimmick, too. Festus, the slow adult who would turn into some sort of Incredible Hulk character when you would ring the bell. Great character. Gallows' current gimmick, much better than Festus. But they brought back Festus on BTE, which, you know, popped me. I think got a chuckle.
It's funny you can laugh at, your past gimmicks and all that kind of stuff, but I don't know if I, again, want to watch all this kind of stuff.
You do. Biscuits and gravy.
No.
You want to see Griff Garrison dancing for some reason. That was on BTE, too. That was not good.
Oh, a lot of this, new modern age wrestling, man. It's rough. It's really rough.
You didn't like Jade Cargill promo video of her just working out in the gym, looking jacked, getting ready for the big match? Cody and Velvet versus Cargill and Shaq on Dynamite. It's coming up on March 3rd. Dynamite. Shaq and Cargill versus Cody and Velvet. And I was like, damn, that's a pay-per-view match that they're giving away on free TV. And people are like, it's not a pay-per-view match. Shaq sucks. He's not a good wrestler. It's going to be a bad match. And I'm like, look, this is Shaq's pro wrestling debut, and it's on free TV. WWE wouldn't give it to you on free TV. I'm just saying, it's cool.
Well, there's a reason why it's on free TV, because the day of the pay-per-view for Revolution is the day of the NBA All-Star Game.
Oh.
So there's a conflict, so that's why. I mean, they're not giving it to you for free because they want to. It's because they have no choice.
I thought it was because Shaq is on TNT and Cody's on TNT, and they want to do the match on TNT because it's like a TNT match for the network.
Well, I think they wanted it for the pay-per-view, but because he's on TNT at the All-Star Game, there's a conflict there. So.
Okay. Well, that's going to happen on Dynamite, which is cool. Sting and Darby were interviewed this week in the ring by Tony Schiavone. Team Taz cut a promo from the parking lot. They weren't allowed in the building because they assaulted employees last week. Good continuity there. Ricky Stark says he will be in the building for Darby's match with Joey Janela on Dynamite next week. Sting says he'll be there too. Darby says nothing. Darby doesn't talk, eh?
Well, I mean, let's face it. I think Sting's the better talker, right? I find Darby's... No, Sting's a better talker.
Sting's not a great
the problem
talker.
with Darby... Well, Darby doesn't really say anything. He just talks about how he kind of wishes he was dead and he feels dead inside all the time, and he just wants to kick ass. I mean, he doesn't have a lot to work with, Darby, because they don't give him much in terms of a character. So it's tough. They need to actually give him some life into his character, and they don't do that. Sting, at least, at least there's some life in his character.
Well, I guess he's got a little more pep than Darby, but, either way, I would much rather watch Father James Mitchell cut a promo than Sting or Darby. That wedding was weird, but Father James Mitchell made it tolerable at least. He was good. I like him, officiating the wedding. He's had many names, the Sinister Minister, Father James Mitchell, and so on. I like him. Like, AEW could use him more.
Well, I mean, if they find a role or something like that, I mean, there's a lot of characters they have when you think about it. I mean, when's the last time we saw Vicky Guerrero on TV?
I don't know.
Exactly. There's so many characters they have. I mean, we got to see Tully this week, and we saw Jake, but you don't always see them all the time. I mean, there's a lot they have in AEW, and they're not using them all. So, I mean, it's great they found a role for James Mitchell, but I mean, he's still an Impact, I believe. So,
is he?
You don't really need to use him. I think so.
Huh. Okay. Well, I like him. I've always liked him ever since his WCW days when I first saw him. Thought he was a talented guy, hell of a promo, hell of a look as well. Always got that crazy look. Looks evil. He just looks evil. So he was officiating the Penelope and Kip. Yeah, the eyebrows, the hair that he used to have too. Now he's bald and he still looks evil. Miro is there. Chuck Taylor's there. Jerry Lynn accompanied Penelope to the ring. Penelope looked good. Miro did a really long toast after Kip and Penelope exchanged vows. He starts saying, "What is love?" And then the crowd started singing. And then he said it again, and the crowd started singing even louder. The song, "What is love? Baby, don't hurt me." You know that song. And Miro's like,
SNL.
And that was a really nice moment where a wrestling crowd kind of changed the promo and influenced what was going on TV, which you don't see very often these days because of the COVID deal, right? Like, Miro's like, "What is love?" Yeah. And he kind of paused, and the crowd was like, "Baby, don't hurt me." And Miro's like, "What's going on here?" And he's like, "Oh, that song. Yeah, I like that song. Keep singing it. Yeah, okay, let's roll with it, you know?" And it wasn't a great promo.
Like
yeah, he seemed lost, but in that moment, it was kind of like, oh, this is kind of fun. You know, the crowd's singing. I liked it.
It was just a payoff to that wedding. Like, it wasn't anything great.
Orange Cassidy comes out of the cake. So Chuck Taylor, while Miro was talking, somehow shackled Miro to the bottom rope. How he did this without Miro noticing, no one will ever know. Chuck then pushes Kip. He falls into Penelope, who falls into the cake. Of course, Penelope has to have cake on her face, because it wouldn't be a Miro wedding without the bride getting covered with cake, right? The Lana Lashley wedding, bride got covered in cake. This one, bride gets covered in cake. Kip attacks Chuck. Orange Cassidy pops out of the cake and takes out Kip. So Orange and Chuck versus Miro and Kip is the long-term payoff of this. Why the hell did Orange Cassidy beat Chris Jericho if you're building him up for this bullshit? Like, they had Orange Cassidy. They legitimized Orange Cassidy as a main eventer and did absolutely nothing with it. He should have never beat Jericho in that fucking mimosa match. He shouldn't have. It was stupid. And I said it was because there was a ceiling for Orange. And this is the ceiling. Teaming with his buddy Chuck to wrestle Miro and Kip. That's the ceiling for Orange. They raised the ceiling for some stupid reason by having him beat Chris Jericho on pay-per-view. And all that did was just lower Jericho. Jericho's never been the same. Now he's like MJF's tag team partner, you know? I mean, MJF's really his tag team partner. Jericho winning the Battle Royal this week was like a big win for Jericho's character because he hasn't had a big win in a while. He needed that. But he should have never lost to Orange because look where Orange is now. Like, there were no big plans for Orange. Am I wrong about that? Like, Orange should not have beaten Jericho.
Well, we talked about this when it happened. I think it was All Out, if I'm not mistaken. Like, Jericho needed to win this. He needed to get back into the title picture. And when he lost it, it's like, well, you can never believe him as a title contender anymore. And you see it now. Like, he's not there anymore. He's in the tag team division. He's taken a step down. It's like he's just putting guys over now at this point. And I guess he's happy with that. Like, I think he still should be a top guy, but for whatever reason, he just wants to put over like the new guys, and that's fine if he wants to do that. It's just I think it's too soon for that.
Well, that's kind of where we're at with Chris Jericho and what he's doing. But as far as Orange and Chuck versus Kip and Miro, I really just couldn't care less. You know? Lance Archer versus Eddie Kingston in the Lumberjack match. Not bad. Bear Country showed up. The guys I was talking about last week, the Bears. You know, they're two bears. They helped Lance Archer fend off Butcher and the Blade. Jake the Snake fell down punching Angelico during that. Did you notice that? That was pretty funny. Jake punches Angelico on the outside of the ring during the match, and he just like fell on top of him. Jake can't even punch people at this point because he falls. Rough.
Well, I mean, the fact that Jake got physical, period, is like a miracle in itself. Because at one point, you were worried that he's going to be alive or not. So the fact that Jake's, getting physical again is kind of like amazing.
I guess, but he can't throw a punch without falling down. What's going on, man?
Well, he's still he still has health problems. So again, the fact that he's,
what do you think of the
actually
match?
physical, I'm impressed. I thought the match was kind of sloppy. Again, we saw a battle royal, then we see a lumberjack. There's way too many of these matches where there's just a bunch of people and you kind of get lost in everything that's going on. Like I thought last week was better because it was just simply a straight up fight. This just, there's some nice spots, but you kind of just don't care because then people get in the ring and it's just a mess.
I thought last week was better, too, their match. Of course, Eddie Kingston won last week. This week, Lance Archer wins. Okay. FTR cut a promo on Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, and they had Marco Stunt hostage. What are they going to do with him?
Well, they tied him up, that's it. That's all they're going to do, I think.
Huh. I don't know. Usually when you tie somebody up, something else is going to happen afterwards. I don't know. That was creepy. So they have that going on. Britt Baker beat Thunder Rosa by technical submission with the lockjaw. Rebel removing the middle turnbuckle. Britt sending Thunder into that, kind of knocking her out, and then applying her lockjaw to get the finish there. Yeah, it was okay. Not as good as I wanted it to be.
Really? I thought it was a pretty good wrestling match. I thought they showed a lot of good chain wrestling back and forth. I thought there's way too much stuff on the outside, unfortunately, but for the most part, I thought it was probably one of the better wrestling matches we saw on this show. And the finish, again, a little overbooked, but still, it made sense the way Thunder lost. I would have given it to Thunder, but oh well.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. She's lost too many matches recently. They should have gave her the win, I think. Especially if you're doing this tournament, but whatever.
I just can't figure out what's going on in the AEW women's division, and I can't give a shit about anything they have going on.
Are we going to talk about this tournament now? How it's really messed up?
I don't know. Nothing. The tournament, the Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa feud, they have some good matches every now and again, but the stories are just... Nothing seems connected. Nothing seems to make sense. Sheeta's the champion. Who's the number one contender? There is no number one contender. They're doing a fucking tournament.
Right, they're doing a contender. I thought it was going to be Britt Baker if she won that match. To me, the winner of that match could be number one contender, but they're doing a tournament, so... Right.
And what is it? Japan versus USA tournament? Is that what it is?
Well, really, it's USA in one bracket, Japan in another bracket, and then the winners of those brackets will face each other.
What bracket is Riho in?
She's in US, even though, she's in Japan mostly.
Why?
Because they're going to wait 2 weeks, bring her back, and then have her wrestle in the US instead. Because I think only the US matches will air on Dynamite, where the Japan matches will only air on YouTube.
Okay. I really couldn't care less about this stupid tournament. So in the U.S. bracket, you got Riho, Serena D, Britt Baker, Tay Conti, Thunder Rosa, Nyla Rose, Anna Jay, and Layla Hirsch. And in the Japan bracket, you have Aja Kong, Yuka Sakazaki, Emi Sakura, Ryo Mizunami, Mei Suruga, Rin Kadokura, and Maki Ito. I recognize a couple of those names. Aja Kong, Yuka Sakazaki, Emi Sakura. The rest of them, I don't know. We'll see.
You don't know Maki, I think it's Uto, I think?
No?
Like, I think she tweeted, like, hello, mother effers. Like, that's her big tweet to AEW.
Oh,
You didn't
is
see
that
that?
her? The cute little Japanese girl that's always swearing?
Yep.
Yeah. No, I've seen her on Twitter. Oh, she's in the tournament? She's cool.
Oh, that caught my eye. Like, I don't know if she's, what wrestling's like, but I'm definitely want to see her matches now because, well, if that's the way she acts, like, it's interesting.
Yeah, let me show you what Maki Ito looks like. She's badass. Okay, I know who you're talking about now. Look at this girl. Cute, and then fuck you. Yeah, no, she's cool. I like her. Yeah. Okay, I know. Yeah. I know who she is now. I've seen her before. She's like always swearing. She's got a big online following. Cause I am. I mean, she tweets some really weird shit. Look at this. What the hell is this? I am the god of love and piss? What the hell does that mean? What does that mean?
Yeah, let's not talk about stuff like that. It's better
No?
not to talk about stuff like that. No,
I don't know. She's cool.
because that's just demented stuff.
I don't know what's going on with her, but she is like, she's something else.
Well, I'm interested to see like what's going to happen with her in this tournament. Like, if she goes far or not. Like, someone from that bracket's got to win, right? So, who's it going to be? I'm guessing the way it looks like more than likely Rio's going to win the USA bracket because we haven't seen her, and this is like the great way to bring her back is have her beat pretty much everyone from the US.
Yeah, it would be a good way to kind of reinvent Riho because she was in AEW, but she's been around for she's been gone for so long. Should be getting my Riho action figure pretty soon. Excited about that, John. Oh yeah, brother. Yeah. What else is going on here in AEW? Was that it? Is that all that? Hangman and Matt Hardy beat Serpentico and Luther. They're not going to be a team.
It was what it was. Like it was fine. I thought Hangman looked good when he came in the ring.
Oh yeah.
Like to me, he's like fantastic right now. Like the way they should be booking him is like he should be the next guy to face Kenny. Though I feel like he might be a couple of guys away from facing Kenny.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a slow build, it's fine. But they should be. That should be the idea going forward. Is that one day he's going to face Kenny.
That's it. I think down the road he faces Kenny. I don't think you need to do it right now, but he is the man. He is the man. And there's still a lot of time for Hangman to kind of get there and get that top spot. But, it's only a matter of time. When AEW first started, you knew that eventually Hangman Page was going to be their number one guy. It's just a matter of time. Like, as soon as that company started, I was like, oh, this company is designed to make Hangman Page into the next big star in pro wrestling. In like 5 to 10 years, Like, he'll be the guy. And that's obvious, and it should be to everybody. And if you see Hangman and you don't get it, watch him again. Figure it out. Cody and Lee Johnson will take on Peter Avalon and Cesar Bononi on Dynamite this week. That's a match set for Dark. The only reason it's on Dynamite is because Cody's in it, but the rest of those guys are not Dynamite wrestlers. Cesar Bononi. Who?
Right. Like, I get it. Like, yeah, that's mainly the Dark roster, but I mean, sometime they have to be on Dynamite, right? I mean, how many matches are they going to wrestle on Dark until you can finally put them on Dynamite? You got to give them a shot once in a while.
No, you don't. If I see Brandon Cutler on Dynamite, that's it. No more Dynamite. Some people don't
we
need
almost
a shot.
saw him.
Yeah, well, it better not happen. Brandon Cutler. I barely tolerate him on Being the Elite. I don't want to see him on Dynamite. God, his segments are always the worst on Being the Elite. The worst. He's always trying to come up with bits, and they're always terrible. God. Brandon Cutler.
Yeah, well,
I mean, he seems like a nice guy. Yeah, he seems like a nice guy, but, he wouldn't be in AEW unless he's, the guy behind the camera on BTE and friends with the Bucks. Because his promos are kind of boring. I don't want to watch him and Luchasaurus fucking sit around looking at animatronic dinosaurs. What the hell was that shit? Peter Avalon. He's another one.
Did you not see that choke slam that Cutler took from Luchasaurus?
No, I didn't see
that
match.
That was amazing.
I'm not going to watch Dark to watch that match. Is it a good choke slam?
Well, I thought Cutler died on it, so I enjoyed it. I'm sure he didn't enjoy it whatsoever.
How was the match?
The match was so-so. It was mainly the choke slam you got to watch.
There you go. Not great. Over on Raw, Drew McIntyre cuts a promo about respecting Goldberg. Edge came out. Drew's like, I love you, Edge. I respect you so much. And Edge is like, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? Like, I like that Edge was like, what's your problem? I could be your opponent at Mania, and you're just treating me like a god. You're really weird. And Drew's like, that's just the kind of guy I am. And then Sheamus comes out, and he's like, stop picking on my friend Drew McIntyre. He's a good guy. Leave him alone. So Edge is like, all right, I'm leaving. And then Sheamus kicks Drew in the face with the Brogue Kick. So obviously, and I love commentary like, why would Sheamus throw away years of friendship for the WWE Championship? I'm like, because it's the WWE Championship. It's supposed to mean everything. It's very important. And Drew was like, I can't believe Sheamus would throw away our friendship for this, for the belt. Commentary didn't understand it. Charlie tried to interview Sheamus backstage. She didn't understand it. Drew didn't understand it. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, well, he's a WWE champion. Like, why wouldn't he attack him? He wants to be champion. Elimination Chambers in 3 weeks. The title might be defended there. Get your name in the hat, Sheamus. Made sense to me. Didn't make sense to anybody. And it really shows you, like, WWE just shit on their own title. The WWE Championship. You'd give up a friendship for that? Well, yeah. You'd kill your own mother for a shot at the WWE title. You know what I mean? Like, obviously not, but it's a figure of speech. But it should be the most important thing to you if you're in WWE, and if your friend is WWE champion, kick him in the face and wrestle him in a match, right?
Well, I agree with that kind of feeling, but unfortunately WWE is like all friendship over everything, apparently, so.
It's so stupid.
Sadly, that's how they paint Sheamus as the heel, because, he's such a horrible thing to break up a friendship over a title. How could you do such a thing? Bad guy.
Well, like Kevin Nash says, it's not the wrestling friendships, it's the wrestling business, all right? Business over friendship. Matt Riddle beat Bobby Lashley by disqualification when Lashley refused to release the Hurt Lock while Riddle was on the apron. Lashley continued to apply the Hurt Lock after the match. Riddle woke up from the attack and asked the trainers, what happened and who was I wrestling? Which is absolutely ridiculous because you cannot put a man unconscious with a full Nelson. You could hurt him, but you can't put him out. You don't get a concussion from a full Nelson. It's almost as if these people have never been in these holds, applied any kind of hold. They're just making shit up as you go along. Bobby Lashley applies a full Nelson that puts Riddle to sleep. When Roman Reigns applies a guillotine choke on Kevin Owens and he goes to sleep, I buy that. When Riddle wakes up from his full Nelson that he was just in and is like, where am I? I'm like, what? The fuck are you talking about? Bobby hurt Riddle's neck on the full Nelson. I could buy that. You whip him around, sure. But put him unconscious? It's fucking ridiculous. It's stupid. It's insulting to the intelligence of the viewers.
Well, I can believe if after the full Nelson, like he tossed him and like, he landed on his head, that it would knock him out. Like it was so violent. I didn't
Bullshit.
see how he threw him down afterwards,
Bullshit.
but I would believe that because he was on the ring apron and you toss him down off the ring apron, like directly on his head. Yeah, I can believe that.
That's fucking stupid, John. I don't believe that. All right? Whatever. They did it. It's dumb. You don't go to sleep on a goddamn full Nelson. It's fucking stupid. Randy Orton did a promo about Edge returning and costing him the Rumble, and he's going to take him out later tonight. And then, of course, he didn't because of Alexa Bliss. Xavier Woods beat Mustafa Ali. Retribution trying to interfere, but Kofi Kingston back on Raw. He stopped them. Helped his buddy Xavier get the win. Miz and John Morrison. What?
Like, did T-Bar not like pull like Mustafa Ali out of the ring right in front of the ref, and they just kept the match going for whatever reason?
I can't explain that. You're thinking too hard about this stupid WWE show. Miz and Morrison. We got to talk about Bad Bunny. Okay, it's more important. Miz and Morrison host Miz TV. Bad Bunny's the guy. Notice it was Miz TV. It wasn't the Dirt Sheet this time. Remember when Morrison?
They just switch it.
Yeah,
all the time.
Bad Bunny is the guest. Miz apologizes for smashing Bad Bunny's DJ equipment. Bunny accepts, but doesn't apologize for Miz. To Miz for distracting him from winning the Rumble. Miz asks Bad Bunny if it's true that he wants to be a WWE superstar. Bunny says it is. Miz offers to take Bunny under his wing, like he did to Daniel Bryan. And Miz offers to help Bunny in exchange for Bunny helping him and Morrison make an album. Bunny says he's only there because he has a good friend that really wanted to be on Miz TV. Damian Priest is Bad Bunny's friend, and he punches Miz. And then it's Damian Priest beating The Miz after The Reckoning with a pinfall. Bad Bunny was ringside and hit Morrison with a microphone before the finish. I think we're going to see more Bad Bunny wrestling, right?
We're probably going to get a tag match at WrestleMania, sadly. But they love Bad Bunny for whatever reason. And regardless that he flipped off The Miz on Raw, they're still going to use him. Because I think he's one of those guys that can do whatever he wants and it doesn't matter.
But I know like a lot of wrestling fans are upset with the Bad Bunny and everything, but he's very popular. Like he's going to bring a lot of eyeballs onto the WWE that wouldn't necessarily show up. And, you know, it might not register in your world or my world even, but I like that Booker T song. You know what I mean? Like, I liked it. I wasn't really familiar with Bad Bunny, but I heard that song and I like it. I don't hate him. I kind of like Bad Bunny, you know? And if he's super popular and has like billions of views on YouTube, yeah, and you could get him to be at WrestleMania, like, yeah. Like, if somebody that's really, like, who's a big musician that you would accept to have at WrestleMania in a match?
Oof. I mean, you know, I think you'll agree. Ice Cube would be fantastic.
Not as famous as Bad Bunny today, though. You know? I'd say,
Did
like,
Ice Cube not come out with a new album recently? Like,
yeah, but come on, man. No one gives a shit about Ice Cube. Isn't Ice Cube like a Trump supporter, too? What's going on with Ice Cube?
doesn't change the music.
Yeah, I think it changes a lot of, like, who he is and who he was. Ice Cube is not who he was. But let's say, like, a Drake or something like that. Like, if Drake wanted to wrestle at Mania, you know, say what you want about Drake, he's a very famous musician. I think we could all agree that that would be a good thing for the WWE, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I think more people would want to see him get his ass kicked.
Sure.
More than anything, but
But
it's good publicity, of course.
But like Bad Bunny's on the same level, if not bigger. I don't know if he's big. I don't know if he's bigger. Like, I don't really know. It's not really my world, but I know he's he's pretty damn close. Like, he's a very, very popular musician right now. He's like number one on everything. His videos have millions and billions of views, I think. Hundreds of millions at least. Like, he is huge. So, good for WWE. Like, it's not necessarily for me, but hey, he's going to wrestle Miz and Morrison, so who really cares? It's going to be Bad Bunny and Damian Priest versus Miz and Morrison. Okay. It's 2 nights of WrestleMania. They're going to have, 20 matches in 2 days. If one of the 20 matches is this, I don't give a shit. Fine. It's going to be much worse.
No, I agree with you. I got no problem with this. Damian Priest isn't the best fit in terms of his personality, I think, but in terms of that he's a new star and you want to give him like a good push right away, I think this is a great spot for him.
Mm-hmm.
And, hopefully he can take advantage of it.
Yeah. Good for the bunny. All right? Not the bunny on AEW, the bunny on Raw. There's 2 bunnies now in wrestling. Cedric and Shelton beat the Lucha House Party to retain the Raw Tag Team titles. That was all right. Lana and Naomi, a new tag team. They earn a tag team title shot against Shayna and Nia at some point by beating Charlotte, Asuka, and the Sexy Muscle Friends. Lacey Evans and Ric Flair come out during the match. Charlotte decides to just tag out to Asuka and walk backstage after them. Asuka looked confused by Charlotte just abandoning her in the match and walked right into a rear view by Naomi. Asuka seems a little bit annoyed that Charlotte's distracted and it led to them losing their tag team titles, and now, again distracted, leads to them losing a match, and she just abandoned Asuka in that match. Asuka, the Raw Women's Champion, I believe will wrestle Charlotte Flair for the title at Mania. We're just headed down that road. Unless, Charlotte and Asuka do the match first, Charlotte takes the title, and they do Lacey and Charlotte at Mania. Because the Lacey Evans, Ric Flair, Charlotte Flair thing is not going away. Either way, Charlotte and Asuka are going to wrestle at some point over the next couple of months. That's clear.
Right. I feel this is where you do the triple threat because it feels like, the other matches are kind of set where it'd be a singles, tag, whatever, but this is where it feels like there's more factors involved, and I could see a triple threat for the title. I prefer it that way because I feel you want to do Charlotte and Lacey Evans, but you want to do it for the title. So now Asuka has a bit of beef with Charlotte. I say you do that. However, there's still lots of time before we get to WrestleMania, so who knows how it's going to shape up. But I would go with that for WrestleMania. I hope we never see another multi-person match like this again, because this was god awful. This was really bad, atrocious. Like the fact that this aired on Raw is like an embarrassment to the history of Monday Night Raw. I don't know what you thought, but it was so bad. Some of the worst wrestling I've seen.
You really thought it was that bad? I don't know. It was whatever. It was what it was. When I see the Sexy Muscle Friends, I know what I'm in for.
But I mean, it's fine with them doing a regular tag match, but I feel like when you make it a 3 corners tag, it becomes too messy, and everyone just tries to do a spot, but they kind of rush everything, and just everything looks off, and then they have a convoluted finish. It makes everyone look worse. They should never have multi-person matches like this again. It works when you have guys that are good at doing spots, that's what these matches are for spot guys.
Mm-hmm.
Not for people that can't do this kind of work. They just can't work at that kind of rate. It's not possible for them. You got to keep it simple for them. And this was too much for a lot of them.
Carlito and
not
Jeff.
To bash
Sorry, go ahead.
The whole female division right here, but wow, this was bad.
Well, you're not bashing Charlotte or Asuka or Naomi, I don't think.
Well, I found Naomi didn't really stand out too well in this.
Yeah. All right.
And Charlotte too. There were some moments that looked kind of off as well. Asuka didn't really do too much in this match.
No. Yeah, it's been weird. And like Doug Hepburn is saying on the chat, Asuka's title reign has been bizarre. A champion that just doesn't seem to win. Her run
Well,
has
it
been
doesn't really
weird.
have
Anything.
defenses whatsoever.
Yeah. Carlito and Jeff Hardy beat Elias and Jackson Riker. I like seeing Carlito and Jeff Hardy together. I like seeing Carlito back on Raw looking jacked. When I saw him in the Rumble, I thought, oh, maybe that's it. There were rumors that he was just going to be kind of backstage as a producer, but he was on TV, and I thought he looked good. Looked a little rusty, a little slower than I remember him, but very muscular, right? His footwork was a little kind of,
Yeah, he slipped at one point, but I don't think he's had too many matches, and
that's it.
It's a different kind of speed too. Like you said, he's a bigger guy, so a lot of guys are fast in WWE, so he probably just isn't used to that yet. And they don't have those house show reps anymore, so it's harder to, be ready right away. I don't think, unfortunately, a lot of them at the Rumble apparently, I don't think he did a rehearsal, so it's not easy just to go out there and just see how it goes, kind of thing.
Yeah, and you don't wrestle that often. You've never wrestled Elias or Jackson Riker before. Things happen, but I think he'll be good in WWE. He's fun. He looked a little out of place there on Raw, but he looked great as far as his shape, and I hope they find a spot for him. I hope they find something to do for him because he's good. He's a talented wrestler, and I feel like he spent a lot of his best years outside of WWE where he could have been a huge star for the company. I remember when he came in and he beat John Cena for the, U.S. title on his first night. I thought, God damn, this guy's going to be a huge star. I thought he was going to be like the next Rock. He could talk. He had a look like he was cool. You know what I mean? Like he could really talk. He could really cut a promo. He was new. They had him beat John Cena. I was like, God damn. They're going to do something with this guy. Second generation star. His dad, Carlos Colon, a legend of the business. He looked good. He talked. He had a gimmick. He had everything going for him. Everything. And
right.
I think, he kind of got in his own way. And maybe didn't want it as badly as other people wanted it for him. And he found his way outside of the WWE. But now that he's back, a little bit older, a little bit wiser, I think he's going to make a good run of it. I'm happy. I'm a fan of Carlito's. I've announced him to the ring. I did ring announcing for Carlito. Got a chance to kind of be in a wrestling locker room around Carlito. Nice guy. It was huge when we saw him, right, John? You were on that show. It was huge. Jacked to the gills.
And that was a couple of years ago as well. So, I mean, he's looked like this for a while. We're not surprised by this, but, people haven't seen him since, 2009. It's a huge shock. So
that's it.
But it's great for him right now, what's going on. Hopefully something works out for him. But, unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't work out. You'd want to see something like that work out, but there's only so many spots they have in WWE.
I like Carlito. Always have, always will. Alexa Bliss beat Nikki Cross by pinfall. Alexa did some weird wardrobe changes again during her match. Why are we doing this to Nikki Cross? What was the point of this? Just throwaway match on Raw.
Well, I think the point of this was the fact that they had a friendship. They were a tag team, and the fact that Nikki had a past with Alexa, that they could play that off in the match and not really have to do wrestling, just do storytelling, which was, I think, half of this match, if I'm not mistaken. So that's what they focus on more. You saw it tonight on SmackDown. They're focused on the fact that the Street Profits are doing commentary than what's actually going on in the ring. It's more about storytelling than the actual wrestling.
Yeah. Well, that's I guess what happens.
See, Raw, I can understand if you were upset
WWE,
by Raw.
Right? Yeah.
If you were upset watching Raw, because I have felt that way too, where it's why am I watching this sometimes? Raw is god awful.
Well, yeah. I mean, Raw is bad a lot of the times. There's a lot of filler. It's a 3-hour show. Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross for no real reason in particular. Lana and Naomi getting a win over the Sexy Muscle Friends and Charlotte and Asuka. Damian Priest wrestling The Miz with Bad Bunny and that whole promo. Even Woods against Mustafa Ali. Like, what was worth anything on this show?
The main event.
Edge versus Randy in the main event was pretty good. It was pretty good, except the finish was just like, okay. Alexa Bliss has appeared in the corner, and she's got black stuff coming out of her mouth, and Randy's scared of this for some reason, and then eats a spear and loses. Not great. Not great.
Well, the finish wasn't great, but Edge's promo was amazing. Like, one of the best promos I've seen, like, in WWE for a while now. Like, that was, like, to me, that sold me for WrestleMania right there. It doesn't matter who he wrestles. It's like, I want to see Edge win. Because you can see that passion, that fire, like, in his eyes. Like, no one else really seems to be able to cut a promo like he can cut a promo right now. Like, the fact that he was on Raw, NXT, SmackDown cutting promos, and, like, I wanted to see him all the time. Like, he never got boring. It just shows you, like, what an amazing promo guy Edge is. Like, he was always good at promos, but to me, like, now he's, like, on a whole new level.
Of course. Edge is one of the best, man. He's one of the best ever.
So I think he's realized, by being gone, like, how much, like, he misses it and how much he appreciated what he had. So now he can really put that into words pretty much. It feels like that's what he's doing. His emotion, it's coming out more now.
Well, he's got a lot built up, over the years. A lot that I'm sure has been going through his mind that he's been wanting to do, things that, angles, matches, things that he wanted to do over the years that now are possible. They were not possible for him for so long, but I'm sure in his head he wanted to do some of these things, and now he's able to go out there and do them. And it's really nice to see Edge get that opportunity. It's really nice to see Edge main eventing a WrestleMania. He's a guy you can get behind. He's a legit babyface. He's a guy you can really like. A genuine guy that you can like. A genuine inspirational story. A guy who was retired, comes back, gets hurt again, comes back to win the Rumble. Like, it's a great story. And he's good in the ring, man. He's still got it. I was surprised that they put him in the ring with Randy on Raw. I was like, God damn, man. They had him win the Rumble, and then they have him wrestle again on Raw, knowing that he was hurt, For a good chunk of last year, he was hurt. It's a risk putting him in that match on Raw because you know that he's got to be ready for WrestleMania. How many more matches do you think we see Edge in before Mania? I was surprised he actually main evented Raw and wrestled a good chunk of time there with Randy. Wasn't that a little bit surprising that it lasted so long?
I thought it was actually kind of short. I mean, if you think about Edge matches recently, they're usually like past 30 minutes, the last couple matches that he's had. So this was actually easy for him when you think about it. But
not easy at his age at this point, Come on.
But this just goes to show you that, if he's going to get the spot at WrestleMania, he's going to show that he deserves that spot. And he's going to be there every week competing, showcasing himself. Maybe he won't be in a match every week, but every so often we might see him wrestle. And I wouldn't be surprised he probably wrestles again before WrestleMania. I mean, hopefully at the pay-per-view.
Doug Hepburn on the chat says, don't forget about Christian. Yeah, Christian, he came back in the Rumble. When does Christian come back in the ring? Like, could Christian win the WWE Championship at Elimination Chamber, setting up Edge versus Christian at WrestleMania? That would be a hell of a match, man. That would be my ideal. Like, over Roman and Drew and whoever Edge could face at Mania, Edge versus Christian at Mania for the belt. That'd be pretty good.
That'd be interesting. It's not the match I really want to see. I actually would rather see Edge and Christian maybe team up going into WrestleMania or a little bit before then. Like, maybe go into Fastlane or something, have them go for the tag team titles. Little distraction for Edge for maybe 2-3 weeks. But like as a singles match, if you did something like that, you really have to build it up. And I just feel like they're already going in a certain direction that there's not enough time to quickly change the course and put it to Christian Edge. I think you could do that if it was maybe SummerSlam or, maybe Survivor Series, but like now you're kind of set what you're doing to change now. It wouldn't do justice to what Edge and Christian should be if it would be WrestleMania.
I don't know about that. I wouldn't mind it. Derek John wants to know, did Edge wrestle at NXT 2 this week? I don't know. I didn't see it. John, did he wrestle this week?
He appeared. He didn't wrestle.
He
just
promo.
did a promo.
Like on SmackDown.
And then he did 2 promos. He did one promo with Finn Balor and Pete Dunne. Mm-hmm. And the Pete Dunne thing was good because he had this interaction where, like, you remind me of myself. He's talking about Pete Dunne, and Pete Dunne just, like, shrugged his shoulders. And Edge kind of, like, took offense to that and was like, yeah, I used to shrug the shoulders like that, too. Like, kind of like, you little jerk, like, the way he said it. So that was pretty good. Because I felt like that was kind of off the cuff right there. Like, he had an idea, and then Dunn did that. He just changed his whole tone and direction. That was good about Edge. It's like, it doesn't feel scripted with Edge. Even though it probably is scripted, he does a good job of, like, selling that you can believe what he's saying is true. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, he did that promo with them and then one with Karrion Kross.
And I would believe that it's probably a little less scripted with Edge, because he comes from an era where you can kind of go on bullet points and go out there and do your thing. And he's got enough trust from the WWE, I think, that they would let him do that, I think Edge is probably less scripted than some of the other guys, some of the younger guys especially. And that's why it sounds so good.
Well, it probably helps, too, that he's, got some creative control, right? So I think guys that have creative control probably are allowed to say, what they kind of want in a sense because they're somewhat writing the show as well, so makes sense.
Yep. I'm happy for Edge. I love to see it. Johnny North, that's all the time we have here tonight. Big thanks to Douglas Hepburn, Patrick C. Hamilton, Derek John, Antoinette, and everybody else who became a member of the team. We appreciate our members very much. Go sign up right now on our YouTube channel. Become a member. You get priority in the chat. You get special emojis in the chat. You get the Dave Simon, the Ben Simon, the Johnny North, the AJ, the Freddie emojis, all in the chat. Special emojis just for the members. And you support the team. You support the crew. We appreciate you. Go join, become a member on the YouTube channel, or go buy us a coffee at donate.ringsidereport.net. Buy us a coffee over at donate.ringsidereport.net. Trying to beef up the equipment, trying to keep our pay-per-views streaming, trying to keep the lights on, trying to keep everything going on the Ringside Report Network. So we do appreciate your support, be it on the YouTube memberships or over at donate.ringsidereport.net. We have merchandise as well. Go to merch.ringsidereport.net to check out what we have for you. Sweet masks. I saw my man Brian picked one up over at merch.ringsidereport.net. Thanks to everybody for watching. Follow Johnny on Twitter at North Genesis. On Instagram at Genesis Johnny North. You can follow me on all the things at Dave Simon MMA. RingsideReport.net is our website. Thank you to everybody for watching on Twitch, on Facebook, and on YouTube. Do not forget to like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to this channel. And when you subscribe, click the bell so you get notifications every time we are on. You might have a couple surprises next week here on the channel. Especially for the members. Like, members are going to get real surprised next week, okay? Things are happening, and you might get a couple surprises next week. So subscribe and click the bell when you subscribe so you get those notifications every time we're on. Hint, hint. Okay? Might see you sooner rather than later. If Dynamite picks up on Wednesday, I might see you after Dynamite. Okay? All right? What are you doing Wednesday night, John?
Probably sleeping.
We'll talk. No sleep for Johnny. All right. That's it. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We love you big time. See you.
Thank you and good night.
Please join in and give your support to Ringside Report Network. We've been providing expert coverage and commentary on both pro wrestling and MMA for over 15 years. Ringside Report started on the radio, added podcasts, and moved to video in 2019. Our hosts are not just fans, but have in-depth knowledge of the subjects. Become a member of our YouTube channel now and become a recurring supporter of our work as we strive to continue to entertain you in these strange times. Pro wrestler Johnny Genesis North joins lifelong wrestling fan and aficionado Dave Simon to host our pro wrestling programming with in-depth coverage of the WWE, AEW, and New Japan Pro Wrestling. Our flagship show, Wrestling Uncensored, is live every Friday right after WWE Smackdown. Here, you get a review of the week that was. You may not agree with our host. In fact, they often don't agree with each other. But you have an opportunity to chime in with your viewpoint in the chat rooms while live or in the comments section of YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook on the replay. Dave and Johnny also headline our coverage of major pro wrestling pay-per-views and breaking news. Dave Simon is joined by experienced jiu-jitsu fighters Fred Garcia and the ever-unpredictable AJ DeLesio, each Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern with Ringside Report MMA. They try and foresee what's next in the octagon and review, argue, and kibitz in a very friendly, irreverent manner. The three guys also team up to accompany you on all the major UFC pay-per-views with entertaining watch-alongs. Go to ringsidereport.net/support to find out more ways to support the channel.